Hi, I'm Callum from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and this is a handover of a Tribute T625. As we start the walk around on the driver's side of the vehicle first, the first main point you get to, just underneath the skirt of the van, is your wastewater drain off point. So anything that you've drained off via a plug hole goes into a separate waste holding tank, and normally on the way out of your site you'd go over the waste disposal point, open the lever on the side and allow your wastewater out, as you wouldn't want to travel with this because it'll add weight to the vehicle, which will impact your payload and your consumption of diesel, and you'll want to make sure that this is fully drained off in the winter when you winterize the vehicle. Using the habitation key, which is this round headed key here, you can lock and unlock your lockers. So push these both in, releases the door. This is your cassette toilet. So then what you've got to do is lift the blue lever, slide the cassette free of the vehicle. You've got a handle so you can drag it to your waste disposal point, which is normally beside your toilet block, and then to empty it, remove the blue cap, press the blue button, tip it out. Once you've tipped the content of the cassette out, put some water in it, give it a quick rinse, tip out again. Then you can either put 120 ml of liquid in the cap, or you can pour it directly down the neck of the cassette, either the blue or the green, depending on what the site prefers you to use. If you are going to use the tablets, you put a pint of water into the cassette and then you'd simply drop a tablet down the toilet using the blade, which I'll go into more depth once inside the vehicle what the blade does. It'll allow it into the cassette. Coming further along, you've got your LPG, so liquid petroleum gas. This is your gas locker, and in here you can fit 2 6-kilogram bottles. So what you would do is put your bottle in, strap it in. So you want to strap your bottles in so that they're safe and secure when on the vehicle. So strap it in. To connect the pigtail, which is the pipe between the regulator and the bottle, it's a left hand thread, so it's opposite threads with it being gas. So left to tighten, right to loosen. And then you want to get an adjustable spanner or a wrench and just nip it up, that final nip, so that it's nipped up. And then you can turn the bottle on and off from the top of the cylinder, making sure that it's turned off before you do start traveling. And then you've got space for another bottle in here, so you can carry 2 6-kilogram bottles in here, and you just swap the pigtail to the bottle that's full once one goes empty. Mains hookup point. So to hook the vehicle up, if you were at home and you wanted to charge the vehicle before you went on your holidays, or if you were on a site, you'd use hookup. So you'd get your hooker blade, lift the collar, expose the end, slide it on here first, hook the vehicle first, then the site, and do it in reverse order when unhooking the vehicle, which is pushing the blue clip in to unhook the wire. To unhook the vehicle, underneath you've got your fresh water drain off point. So this is very similar to your waste, but this is fresh water, clean water. So again, if you've taken on contaminated water, if you're not using the vehicle for a couple of weeks and you don't want the water to go stagnant, or you're winterizing it where you drain everything out because you wouldn't want the water to freeze because it does invalidate your warranty, you want to just open the valve and allow the water out of the vehicle. But you always make sure when we're experiencing cold weather, the vehicle's drained down, because you wouldn't want the water to freeze. Underneath the back lounge, you've got your location of your main leisure battery, which is here, which is the leisure battery that it would have come from the factory with. Your banger battery there, which is a 100 amp hour battery, because they normally just come with one, but the last owner has fitted another battery, which is in here. So you've got one main fuse for this battery, and then you'll have another fuse for that battery. So you've got 2 leisure batteries. 1 fully charged battery should last you 3 days if you use it correctly. So 2, you'll probably get 5 days off while camping. In the back corner you've got your boiler. So your boiler heats the water as well as heating the vehicle. But you want to make sure that the water is drained out the boiler in the winter, and to do so you just lift this valve up, and as you'll see the water will come out underneath. You would leave that stood up in the open position when draining the vehicle down to stop the water from freezing in there. Open the fresh and the waste from outside, then you would open all the taps in the middle position of the mixer inside. Remove your shower head from your shower hose and lie that hose in your shower tray just to stop any water from coiling up in that pipe. And then when you come to reuse the van, shut your boiler first, shut your fresh underneath here, shut your waste at the front, shut all your taps in the van, assemble your shower head back together. Then you want to fill the vehicle with water, which I'll show you because it's on the other side of the vehicle how to do so. Fill the van with water, put the control panel on, put the pump on and go at the cold side of the tap first. You'll get an automatic pressurised flow of cold water because it's drawn out from the tank underneath the van via the pump at the back to the taps. Go to the hot side, and as you start to move to the hot, you'll notice it's coughing and spluttering, and it's not giving you that pressurised flow of water like it does on the cold side. What that's doing is it's then starting to fill this boiler cylinder here of 10 litres. So it's transferring 10 litres from underneath the vehicle water tank via the pump into here before it then shoots it to the tap that you've got open. Once you have got a pressurised flow on the hot side, a free flow of water, this is your system primed for the season. But make sure you drain her off in the winter, as you wouldn't want the water to freeze in the boiler, as it can be a very costly mistake to make. When heating the water on gas, this cover needs to come off. If you're driving, put the cover on. If you're washing the van, put the cover on. If you're using electric to heat the water, you can leave the cover on. It's just gas to allow the fumes out. So you would just pinch the top here, pull the cover off, allow the fumes out when on gas. If you've left, pop the cover into here. If you've left the cover on and you're trying to light it on gas, just knock the switch off, come out, take the cover off, blow into here, eliminates the gas that's built up in there, and then go back in and switch the switch back on, and she should start working. Top of the van, you've got your high level brake light, reverse camera. Another reverse camera on the number plates around. Storage this side that goes to the back, so you've got a decent amount of storage for your deck chairs, your tables, your bits and pieces you want to carry. Using this little key here, this is your lockable flap for your fresh water filler. So this is how you fill the vehicle with fresh water. So you'd put a hose pipe in there, slot it between the 2 lugs, put the hose pipe in there until it overflows, or until you look on your control panel and you know you've got enough water on board. So carry a hose pipe with some hose pipe connections, as it's mainly just a brass tap on site. And like I say, hose pipe in there. Best way is just to wait until it overflows. It's going to do no harm. You've got a full tank of water when you arrive on your site. But if you're travelling to a site and you wanted to travel with some water, travel with a bare minimum of about 20 litres, because this will mean that you've got more of a payload and you're better on consumption of diesel. Awning, fridge vents, diesel filler by the passenger door, which opens with the main ignition key. Tyre pressures, so 5 bar on the front, which is 72.3 psi, and 5.5 bar on the back, which is 79.5 psi. Your engine battery's underneath this compartment in the cab floor, so if you ever need to change that or want to put a charger onto that directly to the battery, just lift this cover off. There's just some turn buckles on each side. Get a coin or a flat-headed screwdriver, turn them catches, and you'll be able to open that hatch. Underneath the passenger seat is the location of your toolkit, which is a jack and a brace and a tone eye. Fire extinguishers behind the passenger seat. Bonnet releases on the side of the dashboard. Underneath the bonnet you've got all your fluids to the left hand side, underneath the driver's side of the vehicle. So you've got the main one you're going to need is your screen wash. Then lifting and turning these 3 tabs, you've got your power steering fluid, your coolant, your brake fluid, your oil filler, oil dipstick, paint codes on this sticker here should you ever need it, earthing point for giving or receiving a jump start, and then between the air filter housing and the headlight, pop your key in here, lift this cover up, and that is your positive terminal for giving or receiving a jump start, as the battery's underneath the cab floor. And then you've got your weight plate here. To operate your 12 volt control panel, so this is your master switch in the top left hand corner, which turns the vehicle on and off, either 12 volt if you're not hooked up off the leisure battery, and if you are hooked up you'll be able to work household appliances by plugging them into a 3-pin plug in the wall, which will give you 240 volt. So you can turn it on and off here. Battery L is the leisure battery, and you always want the blue light to be on battery L, as battery L is your leisure battery, which is designed to use the habitation side. But you press it and you can view the level of your leisure battery. Press the vehicle 1 and you can view the level of your vehicle battery. But you always want the blue light on the leisure battery, because if you put onto the vehicle battery, it's then using the van battery to operate the habitation side, and it could drain that battery and then you'd fail to start the engine. So make sure it's on there, because that's what that battery is designed to do. You've got your pump. So should you have enough water on board, you can turn your pump on and it'll give you a pressurized flow to your taps, toilet and shower. If you don't have any water on board, don't put your pump on, as you could burn the motor out and you will then need a new pump, which can be expensive. And then here you've got your fresh water level, so you've got half a tank of fresh water on board at the moment. To heat your water, you've got 2 settings on these 2 switches. So you've got Truma Boiler EL 230 volt. The left hand side is the electric side of heating your water. So if you went to a site and you've paid your site fees, then use their electric as much as possible. Don't waste your own gas, because you've paid to be on their site and use their facilities. So to heat your water, you've got off in the middle on the O, you've got 1 kilowatt at the top, which is 750 watts of mains 230 volt. And then at the bottom you've got 1500 watts, which is 2 kilowatts of mains 230 volt. So it's up to you whether you use 1 or 2 kilowatts. You'd normally use 1 kilowatt on a smaller CL site or abroad on an air. If you were on a site in the UK, depending on what else you're running, will determine whether you use 1 or 2 kilowatts, but you'd normally use 2 kilowatts on a site in this country, as long as you're not using a appliance at the same time that takes a big draw of 230 volt. You may have to knock it down to 1 kilowatt, but 2 kilowatts should be fine in this country. And then this side you've got your gas, so that's where the cover needs to come off, and it can't be any simpler than this. It's just choosing your temperature, so 50 degrees at the top or 70 degrees at the bottom, off in the middle. But you can't have the electric and gas on together should you be in desperate need of heating and hot water. To heat the vehicle on electric, you've got your ultra heat switch here. So you've got off on the O, 2000 watts, which is 2 kilowatts, and then you can adjust your thermostat, which is the middle. 9 is equivalent to 30 degrees, so if you put it around 5 or 6, that's 15 to 20 degrees there. So 2000 kilowatts, 2000 watts even, is 2 kilowatts. So depending on what the site gives you an amperage and what you're currently using in the vehicle will determine whether you use 2000 or you drop it to 500 watts, or you can drop it to 1000 watts, which is 1 kilowatt. But normally you would just put on to 2000 when you're in the UK. These two you can use on smaller CL sites or abroad, or like I say, depending if you're running the microwave at the same time as the water heater and boiling a kettle, it might be too much for the van to cope with and it might trip the vehicle out. So you might want to just turn it down when you use another high voltage appliance. So to heat your vehicle off gas, this is your gas front fire from Truma, and on the right hand dial you've got your gas. So you'd push down, you've got 5 settings on the gas, so push down, turn, look in the pilot hole here and you'll see it lit. So 1 to 5, 5 being the highest on gas, which is equivalent to 30 degrees. And then this side you've got your fan. So A, O and M. A stands for automatic, so once the vehicle detects that it's got to that temperature set off the gas or the electric on the other side, as the fan works both, it will cut out, and as soon as it's dropped it'll cut back in. So that's thermostatically controlled. Here you've got the O, which is off, and it convects out the front of the fire. So just do be careful that you don't catch any loose clothing on the fire when it's on, because it is very hot and you don't want to burn yourself. And then M is manual mode, which